Hi, George here, and today we'll be using Affinity Photo to remove or minimize pixelization from a picture. You can see right here, really pixelated image. Now we can't get this perfect. To get perfect, what you really need to do is to get a better photograph, or there are some AI tools that do a real nice job. Now I'll be using a few different filters in here to achieve our depixelization and a couple of other steps as well. If you want to get more information about how to use those tools and all the other tools here inside of Affinity Photo, take a look at my complete training course for Affinity Photo, and I'll put a link for that right at the top of the description. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to make a duplicate of our background. Right-click and duplicate. That's always a good idea. Just have a safety in here. Okay, now we're going to be changing the resolution of this image. You need a higher resolution and a bigger picture to make this work. So let's go up here to Document, come down to Resize Document. And here, notice that this is at 72 dots per inch. I want to have this at 300 dots per inch. And also notice up here, this has jumped up to 2000 pixels at 300. Let's make this even bigger. And make sure that you see this link in here. There's no link. There it is linked. Make sure that's linked. And let's double this to 4000. And down here it says resample. Set this at bicubic. Okay, go ahead and resize. And what that does is it gives us a lot more pixels to work with. It also is going to, in the resize process, try to smooth those pixels out. So if I zoom in now, you see a lot of that pixelization has now been removed. So that's the first step of this. But it's gone softer in the process, and that always happens. So we now need to sharpen this image up. Now I always like to make copies as I'm moving along, just to keep things, in case something goes wrong, I can back up a few steps easily. So I make a copy of this background layer, right click, let's just duplicate that again. And I'm going to call this one here size. So that's where I change the size. And let's hide these layers. We don't need those shown any longer. We're working now on this one. And for this one, we're going to be sharpening this. So let's just call this one sharpen. So we know the steps that we're doing. Okay, now in sharpen, this is a two-step process. Go up here to filters, come down to sharpen, and we're going to be starting with this clarity sharpen. Really interesting tool. There we go. Notice we have left and right on a slider control. If I go left, it's going to get blurrier. If I go right, it's going to get sharper. It's actually bringing a lot back into the background as well. It kind of sharpens and increases contrast, and it's the contrast increase that you're seeing in the background. So what I'll be doing is zooming in on the face like that, and then back to that filter again. And this just bring that up and see if you get any change in here in the face or in the hands. Looks like the face is staying about the same. It's looking a lot better on the hat, right around here. So I think that's about the best. You don't want to go higher than that. You want to go just until you see a good amount and stop it at that point. So I'm thinking about 25% in here, in the high 20s, maybe as far as 30. In here somewhere, it looks like it's pretty good. So I'll just put it right there, maybe 28%, and choose apply. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is to do a regular sharpening on this. And for that, let's go up here to filters again, come down to sharpen, and use the Unsharp Mask. Now it kind of sounds like it's going to be making things less sharp. In actuality, what you're doing is you are masking out the unsharp stuff. So think of it that way. So Unsharp Mask is actually a sharpening tool. Now I'll start off by putting the factor about halfway in here. Let's bring our threshold up just a little bit like that. This is just, again, beginning settings. And now take your radius and move your radius up until you see some effect in here. You can see if I go real high, this really kind of strange effect. What it's doing is it's trying to find the edges, and it's applying a contrast shift to the edges. If you look up in here, we're getting a little bit of a kind of a white halo on that. So you want to get up and get a bit of that happening. Looks like we're up in here someplace. And then come in and adjust your threshold. There's no threshold, and you want to just balance these out. We have a little bit of threshold and a good amount of radius, helping to define those edges. We can then come in and adjust our factor as well. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Just go back and forth between your controls and try to rock them back and forth until you can get the best edges on these that you can. Now, again, it's not going to be perfect. This isn't like making a blurry picture into a sharp picture. But what we're trying to do here is to remove pixelization. And that's about the best we can do on that. It looks like right around here is pretty good. I'll apply that. Let's zoom out. And that's looking pretty nice. Let's just do Control 0 here to fit screen. And I think this is a pretty good job. It looks good at this level. If I zoom in, I'm not really seeing any of that pixelization happening. It's a little bit soft on the focus, but we've taken it as far as we can on that. We've removed all that pixelization problem, and it's now a good photograph as opposed to what we had previously. Let's bring back up the original, which is right here. I'm just going to float this and see if we can see them side by side. And there we go. I think that works. Okay, so here is the pixelized version. You can see a lot of pixelization in there along that edge and fingers and so forth. And here's our cleaned up version with a minimization on that pixelization. I think we've done a real nice job on that. If you want to learn a lot more, I have a complete training course for this program where I cover everything, all the tools, all the panels, all the menus, everything. And I'll put a link for that at the top of the description. Make sure you hit that thumbs up to give me a like on the video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed to my channel. And I'll see you next time.